right, Dirty Birds. All right, Mr. Philadelphian, the brand new member of the Bang Bang Bird Gang.
I don't know that you can call me a member of the
What you
Bird Gang, but
what you think
I'll
about
be
your squad
useful
this
to
year?
him. I mean, it's still a squad. This running back room
Should be.
is stacked with talent. Who stays healthy is another question. I mean, Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift are monsters, but they've never really stayed healthy. Kenneth Gainwell put up some nice stats last year from a efficiency standpoint. So you like him as depth there. You always like Boston Scott. Boston Scott's been one of my favorites since he won me fantasy games years ago. But and then they also added Trey Sermon and Kennedy Brooks, which I think they got a lot of depth in this running back room. I don't know who's going to end up sticking because you're not going to carry 6 running backs into the season, but they're going to have talent. It's just who's healthy is the real question.
If DeAndre Swift stays healthy, this is filthy.
Yeah.
I think the strength of this team begins and ends with that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean,
Travis Kelce right in the middle, Lane Johnson right tackle, Ramalata at left tackle, Dickerson at left guard. I mean, they got a squad, but I mean, Kelce and Johnson are both getting up there in age now.
so
I mean, Kelce was flirting with retirement.
I don't worry about Kelce just because you've got Cam Jurgens sitting on the bench ready to take over whenever he needs to. That's it's going to be a drop off because Cam Jurgens will not instantly be anywhere close to Jason Kelce. But behind Lane Johnson, you got Jack Driscoll and Dennis
He could
Kelly.
be better than Travis Kelce at center, though.
Oh, he might be. He definitely might be because he weighs enough to play the position. But behind Lane Johnson, you got Jack Driscoll and Dennis Kelly. I'm nowhere near as confident in those guys as I am Cam Jurgens to step in and play at an NFL level, which is why Lane Johnson is really the thing that worries me on this O-line and just the interior depth. You don't have much behind Kelce, Dickerson, and you're starting a rookie at right guard. If any one of those 3 guys goes down on the inside, outside of center, so if either of your guards go down, I'm not sure if Jurgens can play guard. You still have Sua Opeta on the roster who played some 2 years ago decently, but I'm not that confident in it. So the depth here on the O-line does concern me at guard and right tackle.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you look at their skill positions here. You got Devonta Smith, some of the quickest feet in the NFL. A.J. Brown, everybody knows what A.J. Brown did last year. Dallas Goedert, supposed to be a Cowboy. And last second, Philly traded in front of us and got him. And then who's their third receiver? Is
Wes Watkins. And, Zacchaeus is listed as the starter for 3 right now. It's him or Quez Watkins. Either one is a solid wide receiver 3 in the NFL. You're not worried about them having to play snaps.
Yeah, so I've watched a lot of Jalen Hurts in my life. Obviously a big college football fan. Watched him a lot at Alabama. Watched him a lot at OU. Watched him a lot now. He's on Philly, being in the division. I will say, last year, he performed better than I ever thought he could. But, I mean, everything went perfect for him. And I've always liked Jalen Hurts, and it kills me that I like Jalen Hurts as a Phillies quarterback. But everything was perfect last year. That doesn't happen in the NFL. I'm just curious to see if that success will continue if and when he hits adversity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as adversity to him or I'm not worried about the way that he handles it or anything like that. I'm just worried that the roster's propping him up higher than he can be.
Yeah, I mean, you put any above average quarterback that can run in that system last year, and they're going to be an MVP candidate.
Yeah. And I mean,
Justin Fields probably wins MVP in that system last year and probably the Super Bowl.
Don't get me excited. Yeah, I mean, but also, I mean, this team can afford for some stuff to go wrong. It just can't be at the wrong spots, you know? Like,
Or at the wrong time.
yeah, like I think you can afford to even take an AJ Brown or Devonta Smith injury, not both, but like or a Dallas Goedert injury. We
I
saw
would
them deal
say
with it last year just fine. But like Lane
I
Johnson
would
going
say you would
down
be
or Dickerson going down, I think could really hurt this team.
yeah. I would say you could probably survive a Devonta Smith injury. I don't know if you can survive an AJ Brown injury and have the production you had last year.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm not saying you're going to fall apart,
yeah,
but I'm saying I think AJ Brown's much, much, much more important to that offense than Devonta
yeah.
Smith is.
I think so too. But I think they're both really important. I was talking more weather the storm
Oh yeah,
than keep it
oh
up.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, honestly, all they might have to do is weather the storm, and as long as they can get their guys back by the playoffs, they're
yeah,
pretty scary looking. On the defensive
yeah.
side,
No, they are. They also were judging this team on last year. I mean, they have a ton of talent everywhere, obviously, but probably the best team they played all year in the regular season last year was Dallas. One of the times they played Dallas, Dak didn't play. The other time they played Dallas, Jalen Hurts didn't play.
yeah.
Like, and
Hey,
then
Gardner
they
Minshew gave
performed
them hell,
fantastic.
though. Gardner Minshew gave the boys hell.
So did Cooper Rush.
Oh, I didn't say. I'm not saying
Cooper Rush
Cooper
had a
Rush didn't
17-10
give
lead
them
against
hell.
them.
I'm just saying, go Gardner Minshew, man.
Yeah, yeah, smashed his hand in college for a redshirt year. But then you look at their road to the Super Bowl. They get the Giants, who probably weren't like I think if Philly looked at the entire slate of teams in the playoffs and they're like, who can we get after our first round bye? Give me the Giants 10 times out of 10. They got that. And then they play a San Francisco team without a quarterback. And then they play lights out the first 20 minutes of the Super Bowl. And then Patrick Mahomes goes and does what Patrick Mahomes does. But I
And
mean,
Andrew Wiley got in a
they
slap fight with Hassan Reddick.
yeah. But I mean, their schedule last year has to historically be one of the weakest schedules in NFL history.
Probably up there. I
It
mean,
has to be.
it was very favorable. But
I mean, everybody in the NFC East was, but they also had a third place schedule, I believe,
yeah, I think so.
on top of that. And like I said, they split with Dallas, and one of the times Dak didn't play, one of the times Jalen Hurts didn't play. So that's basically a wash. So that basically takes you from 17 games to 15 games. And then Washington was a dumpster fire. That's two. Giants were they overperformed, but let's not act like they were world beaters or anything. And then I can't even think off the top of my head, but yeah, it just seemed like
Yeah.
everything went perfectly for them last year. I'm not saying they're not a good team, but to act like they're the end all be all class of this division, I think people better pump their brakes about
Well, and I
that.
think another thing to realize here is this team lost their offensive coordinator. He's the head coach of the Colts now. They lost their defensive coordinator, who's the head coach of the Cardinals now. And they lost an important defensive assistant, Vic Fangio, who is now the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator. And they lost a defensive, I think it was the linebacker coach, who went with Gannon to Arizona to be his DC. So that is four important coaches on your staff that you have to replace in the offseason on short notice. Like you couldn't even hire these guys until after the Super Bowl. Like it
Yeah, and
kind of makes it tough.
could this be an Ed Ogeron situation where Ed Ogeron got credited so much for that LSU victory, and then you look at his coaching staff, and that might have been one of the most stat coaching staffs in college football history. I'm not going to sit here and say, I mean, Nick Sirianni put the staff together just like Coach O did, but at the same time, like, are we sure Nick Sirianni's a good coach? He's a weird guy.
He's a little different, but I mean, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt right now that he is more of the motor than anything there. That he is what makes it go, and I'm not too worried about that. It's more immediate impact than long term impact. I think that's my worry with the turnover in the coaching staff. I don't think it's. I think long term, you're still Sirianni's still your guy, like, and he's gonna get it right. It's just you're gonna have short term impacts no matter what.
They said the same thing about Doug Peterson and Camden, like after one bad season. So
yeah, and they probably shouldn't have. But hey, they got back to the Super Bowl pretty quick after. So what do I know? They're Howie Roseman when you have one of the best has like a crystal ball. I don't know.
I was about to say, when you have one of the best GMs in the league, I guess it doesn't matter who's coach.
This dude got Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Kelly Ringo, who like he got Ringo in the 4th round, which is great value. Like in the second round, first round, I'm questioning, but in the 4th round, that's outstanding.
I was pounding like the Kelly Ringo overrated drum, like going into the draft the whole time. But then, like, whenever he dropped to the 3rd, I was like yelling at the screen for Cowboys to pick him.
Yeah,
because I was like, he's not a top 50 guy. But I mean, if he drops late 2nd, early 3rd, I was like, oh, like you got to go get this guy. Like he's definitely in that range. And then he just kept dropping and of course Philly gets him. But then they also get Jalen Carter, who is arguably the best player in the draft. Yeah. Like it's stupid. And I think they still have 2 more 1st-round picks next year.
It's witchcraft. It's pure witchcraft. Now, their defense does need a little. They need to develop some of these guys because you lose Javon Hargrave, you lose your 2 starting linebackers, you lose 2 safeties. Like,
yeah, and I love Nakobe Dean coming out of. I mean, you can basically say coming out of Georgia for anybody on this defense, but that neck injury was nothing to slouch about, and I was honestly curious to see if we would ever even see him play in the league. And now he's going to take over a starting job after not playing basic. Did he play at all last year? So, yeah, I don't know what to expect there, but I mean, and then who is that DT
Jordan Davis?
They got out of Georgia last year? Yeah, Jordan Davis. Apparently, I've heard that he has some conditioning issues, which doesn't surprise me with the guy that
he did play well last year when he played, but like he didn't play a lot.
Well, I'm just this offseason he's been having conditioning issues.
Yeah,
but I mean, when you're that big, I mean, I think he only played maybe half the snaps on defense.
20%.
I mean, heavy rotation.
20%, not including. So, I don't think that includes playoffs, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah. But then James Bradbury played out of his mind last year. I don't know if we can.
Bradbury's been doing that every year, man. I told everyone last year when we talked about the Eagles. James Bradbury is cornerback 1 on this team. He's better than Darius Slay, and it's time for people to recognize this. And
maybe he is.
I mean,
maybe I'm just judging him off.
He's like 30, 31. He had 1 bad year with New York on a team that had no talent around him at all. You put it all on a cornerback like that, the numbers aren't going to be pretty. I don't care who the cornerback is.
Barely that old yet.
I think he's 20. I think he's 30. I could be wrong on that, but I thought he was 30 this year.
Oh, he's 29. I was thinking he was like 27.
Yeah, no. So, I mean,
he was still very
is a chance for an athletic drop-off, but, like, Bradbury's still one of my favorite players. Like, I think one of the most underrated corners in the league.
Yeah. Well, I thought he played great last year. Don't get me wrong. I just thought he played over his head a little bit. But maybe that's just who he is.
Hey, when you're on a defense that talented, a really good cornerback becomes a great cornerback, you know?
And Darius Slay is probably still just living off of his name being Big Play Slay at this point in his career.
I mean, he's good. He's like a Pro Bowl caliber player. I just think Bradbury's better.
Everybody's a Pro Bowl caliber player. Mitch Trubisky made a Pro Bowl.
Well, no, I'm not really. I don't count alternates. Alternates don't count.
They're in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, but they have a little asterisk next to their name for a reason.
All right. Well, let's go look at the schedule of your Philadelphia Eagle team. Q's hometown team.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you look at the strength of schedule, 20th in the league, and then you look at their opening slate: New England, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Washington. Absolutely cakewalk of a start of a schedule here. Minnesota is probably your toughest team, but New England doesn't look to be very good. Tampa Bay looks to be the worst they've been in a long time. Maybe a Baker scoring is a Baker to be worried about. I'm hoping that's the case, but we will see. And then you have a Washington team who doesn't know who their quarterback is, but they got rid of Dan Snyder, so they might have a fire lit under their ass. But I think this is a 4-0 start for them.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
And then after that, you have Rams. God, their schedule's so fucking easy again. Rams, Jets, Miami, Washington.
It gets brutal down the stretch.
8-0, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not giving
Jets. I can see them dropping the Jets game.
I'm giving them a toss up on Jets and Miami.
Yeah. Then Washington, Dallas, bye.
I'm giving a toss up on Dallas too.
I think they lose that Dallas game before the bye.
Oh, I know. I'm just keeping consistent with what I had said earlier.
Yeah, Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo. This could be a 1-3 stretch for them, but that still puts them at 9-4 at this point.
If
they go 1-3 here, I'm only going 1 loss. So 9-3.
Yeah.
Or 9-4. I mean.
So I'm gonna give them. They'll win one of KC, Buffalo, San Fran. I don't know which one.
Yeah, I mean, I can see them going 0-4 right there too. Don't get me wrong, because I definitely think they lose.
Yeah, I've got Dallas as a toss
at the link. I think they lose at the link to Dallas. They have the bye. They have to go to Kansas City. I think that's a loss. And then after going to Kansas City, you have Buffalo coming to the link. I think that's a loss. I could see them winning that San Fran game, actually. But
I just think San Fran's going to have their pants on fire for that game.
Yeah, I mean, but are they going to have a quarterback is the real question.
They'll be prepared this time.
They have 5 on the roster right now.
Yeah.
And Trey Lance may be cut. Like, from everything I've heard, like, they want to keep 3 guys, I think, and they like Darnold, Purdy, and their other guy a lot better than Lance. And so it's like they're either going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster or cut Lance.
Interesting. Someone will trade for Lance if it don't cost much.
Yeah, a 6th-round pick maybe. Then you have Dallas, at Seattle, or New York coming to you, Arizona coming to you, and then Giants again. I think they lose both to Dallas, and that's not me being a Dallas fan. I think they just catch them at 2 really bad points in the season where Dallas is going to be hungry for wins, and Philadelphia is already going to probably be sitting at double-digit wins at this point. So I think both those games fall in favor of Dallas. And then at Seattle's a hard place to play, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in Geno. But, I mean, Pete Carroll, if he's done nothing else, has proven he's one of the top coaches in the NFL at this point. I don't think anybody can look at that performance from last year and not say Pete Carroll's not one of the best coaches in the league. So they're going to be ready for that game. So maybe a toss-up at Seattle. Then I think they beat New York. I think they beat Arizona. And I think they're sitting at 11 or 12 wins going into week 17, 18, whatever the last week of the season is.
I'm giving them 12 wins.
I think them and Dallas are going to be probably – I think they're –
12, or it could be – I could see it going it like 11 or 12 depending on that last game, if they're sitting guys or not.
I think it's going to be Dallas and Philly competing for the division, and they're also going to be competing for the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
So where whoever doesn't win the division is going to have the second best record in the NFC.
Yeah.
Going to have to go play on the road.
Yeah, I see that. So that week 17 game will matter at that point if that's the case.
I think it will.
Yeah.
I think
All
it
right.
will.
So what are you betting?
If I'm looking at this team, I think the best value here, honestly, would be under 11.5. 11.5 is a lot of wins, and it only takes a couple of things to go wrong here. I'm not taking minus 110 to win the division, plus 320 to win the NFC. Like, I don't see great value in either one of those. Plus 750 for the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs are plus 650. I think the Bills are in the plus 700s as well. I think there's just a lot of other teams with better value than that, so I wouldn't really touch that either. So I think the best value here, assuming it's close to even money, would be the under. Not saying that I think they will go under, but I mean it's hard to get to 12 wins.
It's either that or NFC champs for me, and at plus 320, it's a tough buy.
Yeah. So I mean, just looking at strictly value, you look at a team that has the age of some of the most important positions on the field, and just how lucky they got last year. Like a lot of things just broke their way. Not necessarily on their team, but like some of their matchups and stuff. Like some of the people they didn't have to face. Like